Gosh, we got a lot to talk about, but let's kind of start with something that's coming up since we're talking about sports betting, and it is March by the time this comes out. So that is March Madness, and luckily for us, we have Huddy who will lead the segment on March Madness because college basketball is his thing. So why don't you take it away, Huddy? What do you got in your mind?
I do love college basketball, and it is the best time of the year for that. So we are, as of filming this today, we are 13 days away from Selection Sunday.
Damn.
We are.
It's crazy.
Holy
I
cow.
know. 13 days. But before we hear Greg Gumbel on our announcing the
From our presenting
brackets.
sponsor, Coca-Cola, we give you the West Sea, or the West region.
Or I'm not trying to copyright over here.
Sorry.
That is when you hear that college basketball music come on though on Selection Sunday.
Oh, it's
after the
iconic.
Big Ten championship game, and you hear Greg Gumbel on your television set.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
It's
Does it
great.
get better than that? We are 13 days away from Selection Sunday. We are 0 days away from conference tournament action. It starts tonight with the A-Sun, Atlantic Sun Conference.
Do you have a pick for the A-Sun, Huddy?
I'm trying to think of how many schools I can name in the A-Sun.
You know what? They start today regardless.
I mean, you got what? Stetson
Bennett.
Stetson Bennett. If he's,
Stetson.
I feel like just because Stetson Bennett has now won 2 national championships and Stetson comes through in the A-Sun tournament, there's your
Sure.
pick. It's a good year for
yes.
Stetsons.
I mean, of course.
Bro, I think we got arrested.
My pick for that conference, Kennesaw State.
Okay. Do you know where Kennesaw State's at?
It's in Georgia. Kennesaw, Georgia, I believe.
This guy knows.
Is that where
That sounds-
Trevor Lawrence is from?
And, you know,
No,
He's from
he's from
Georgia.
Cartersville.
it very well might be him or Justin Fields or someone. I
Yeah.
feel like Kennesaw is
Somewhere
a
around
familiar name.
That's right. But tomorrow night we got the Sun Belt, Patriot, and Horizon leagues getting on our way. We'll have our first automatic qualifier for the NCAA tournament in 5 days.
Jeez.
I believe Saturday, 11 a.m. Central Time, we have a conference championship game. So it's quickly approaching.
It's crazy.
Actually, it's here.
Where is
It
time?
is
Yeah,
here.
where does time
It's right
go?
here. I know.
I don't know, dude. It's
I
just
have
probably
no-
getting old.
Yeah. I feel like I was just watching the Maui Invitational like 2 weeks ago.
I know.
So, yeah, I it's the greatest time of the year. It's
It
my
is.
favorite time of the year, and this kid, how do you just another year of you
Just breathing it in,
breathing it in and tearing me apart in the bracket challenge.
Surprisingly, I'm usually pretty bad in my brackets, though.
Well, because we overthink
I
it.
overthink
That's
it too
why.
much.
It is.
Yeah.
That's
It's a lot
why.
of decisions to make.
It's why the girls who always are just like,
Yeah.
oh, what's
I like
the, what's
this
the
color
mascot?
scheme.
Or
Right.
the color scheme, or it's the one person at your office who just last second. It's like you get the message, like the all company message, like 15 minutes left to submit your bracket. It's free, participate, and then it's the person who literally submits it with like 4 minutes to go until it locks.
They didn't even know basketball.
They're the ones. They're the ones who
basketball
win.
knowledge.
Every time.
I remember one person submitted a bracket where they had Drake win it all because she was a fan of the singer Drake.
I love that.
People usually pick it based off their favorite logos, favorite colors.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Who won-
it works.
Do you remember who won the UTEC bracket last year?
I think.
Liz Weatherby won it in
2 years
I didn't
ago.
mean to drop the names. Liz won it in 2021. Last year, I don't remember who won
I
it.
feel like Maddie got really close.
That sounds
Yeah.
right.
Or was it Audrey?
So Wilbur?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could have.
No, it was somebody unexpected. Like
Really?
it wasn't somebody who is always in like the sports related Slack chats,
Yeah.
sending links, sending info. Adam Scheftering the entire group
Yeah.
is somebody who just lays low, lays in the cut, does their SEO campaigns, and
That's right.
yeah.
I want to start off the segment by talking about a few mid majors to watch out for.
Yes.
Before we get into the Power Five.
Get your notebooks out.
Number one comes right here from Illinois.
Okay.
They have the second longest win streak in the country, 10 games in a row. They just won the Missouri Valley. They were playing Drake yesterday, and the winner of that game won the Missouri Valley Conference, and they beat Drake by 12. It is your Bradley Braves down in Peoria,
Bradley,
Illinois.
no
Okay.
way.
Yeah, they are going to be the
Okay.
1 seed in Arch Madness, which starts Thursday.
Arch Matt, I love that name.
Let's see. They finished the year 23-8, 16-4 in the conference, but they've won 10 games in a row. And the only team that I saw that has a longer winning streak, Oral Roberts. They've won 14 in a row. They went 18-0 in the conference, and 27-4 overall.
Okay.
So they have Max Admis, who was a March Madness legend 2 years ago, was injured last year. Those are two teams to watch out for if they can end up winning their conference tournaments. I don't know if either one of those teams would get in without it.
Okay. That's a tough part. with mid majors like that. You
Yeah.
have deserving teams. Bradley Braves. I actually know another team that you're probably, if I know you any
It might be
as
a
well
team
as I
I was
do,
gonna bring
that you're
up.
probably going to mention as
Yeah.
you go on. But Charleston,
Yep.
it's a team that deserves to be in the tournament no matter what. But if they don't win their conference tourney, unfortunately, the way that it works
Right.
is it's very unlikely that
So
they're going to bounce somebody.
That was my next talking point.
Yeah.
College of Charleston is currently tied in the CAA with Hofstra. They are both 16-2 in the conference. College of Charleston is 28-3. Hofstra's 23-8. If those teams meet in the CAA championship and Hofstra wins, can you keep a 30-win team out of the NCAA tournament?
I don't think you can.
Not in those conferences.
Yeah.
No.
I understand the difference in level of competition
Mhm.
at that at that colonial level versus say a Big 12,
Yeah.
Pac-12, ACC and stuff like that. But 30 wins is 30 wins.
That's yeah.
30 wins is at the end of the day. I mean, you still had to win 30 games.
30 games, no
So
matter what.
I understand if you want to split hairs, if you have a mid-major who's really talented, who maybe is like 26-6
Mhm.
or something like that. But yeah, 30-2.
Here's a question for you. Between College of Charleston and UNC.
Why you have to? I knew the second you looked at me and said, "I'm wearing the colors, as you can see."
Who would you put in? Because head-to-head, earlier in the season,
Carolina won.
that was College of Charleston's only loss for the longest time.
It was, and also it was a close game
Yeah.
too. It was not a blowout by any means. This may be me being, extremely cynical and jaded because to go from the national championship game and lose by 4 points last season, in a miracle Cinderella run of their own.
Mhm.
I know it's North Carolina, but then to come in this year's preseason #1 overall, pretty much unanimously have the unanimous player of the year on your team preseason, that is, and then to come out and you're sitting at 18-11 with 2 regular season games to play. I don't think North Carolina deserves a tournament appearance. Give it to Charleston. Even if you're asking me who deserves in, I would give it to Charleston over North Carolina.
But if North Carolina does make it in the field, Final Four run confirmed.
Oh.
They'll be in the Final Four. of
100%.
course. That's how it works.
Yeah, it's going to be, Missouri versus North Carolina, and then Kansas versus Duke like it always is.
Yeah.
And then it's just, you find a way.
North Carolina will decide to start shooting as good as the Golden State Warriors. And they'll end up in the Final Four.
But the North Carolina Tar Heels they've been a disappointment. I would rather see a jumpstart mid-major get in, deserving like Charleston, than the promise of a potential Cinderella deep run from North Carolina again.
Carolina.
The
Yeah.
mid majors are definitely the ones to look for in the tournament because most of those teams they're not the one and dones.
Yeah.
They've played together for 3+ years, almost 4 years.
Yeah.
So the idea of kind of how they're together is just more sound and structural, and so that's where they can surprise some teams in the tournament. So you want the more mid majors come in, you get a different style basketball compared to what we normally see within these Power 5 conferences.
Yeah. I was listening to the score, not to give light to competition here for AJ, but I was listening to Sports Talk Radio on my way home last week, and they had a college basketball analyst on. He made a really good point that to make a deep run in the tournament, there's really 3 things to the formula. One, senior leadership, and that's to what AJ just spoke to. It's in senior leadership, but it's more guard senior leadership. Your point guard, your shooting guard.
Mhm.
Senior teams with senior guards who have run the system for that specific coach for 3-4 years, they tend to be able to put a team on their back a little bit better. Also, no team has won or been to a national championship game with a center that's shorter than 6'10".
Really?
Since
I mean, that's just-
1983 when Villanova went.
Wow.
I
Shorter than
was
6'10".
mind blown by that. At least one person who is in the top 6 rotation for a team shorter than 6'10".
Wow.
I was very surprised about
Actually,
that.
yeah.
I was very surprised about that.
I think Zach Edey qualifies then.
Zach Edey definitely qualifies, but do the guards qualify?
Yeah, no, they're both freshmen. Both
So-
true freshmen.
That's the thing. There's a bit of a difference because you could even look at a team like Houston.
Yeah.
Houston, who's got 2, a senior guard and a junior guard, #1 team in the country right now, but their center is 6'8".
And those
Yeah.
guys have been in
Their
the
front line
tournament.
is 6'8" and 6'7". So there's a bit of give take, and I think that's why talking the NCAA tournament this year is so interesting because I don't think there's a clear-cut best team in the country.
No.
I think there's a short list of 2 to 3 teams who I could look at and be like, okay, Final Four bound most likely will probably be a favorite in a bracket of mine. That's like Kansas and those teams.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's a team where you just look at it and you're like, have fun trying to beat that team.
That makes it more exciting, honestly.
It does.
Like,
Makes for a better tournament.
Right.
So
Speaking of number one team, or I guess number two team, you got Alabama. You got Brandon Miller, who is he's Showtime for controversial reasons, but also just in terms of his game itself, bro. Like he's kind of box office. Like he's putting up some numbers.
he's NBA bound.
Yeah, he is,
Yeah,
and
he's-
he's a true freshman, correct?
Yes.
He'll be the
correct.
first college player off the board, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a true freshman. Was he 6'9", Huddy?
He's pretty, 6'8" or
6'9".
6'9".
He's built a little like Kevin Durant in a way, where he's tall and lanky, but he
lanky.
moves so fluidly and can
Is
get
it
a
more
shot
fluid
up.
than Brett Holmgren, right?
Chet Holmgren?
Chet Holmgren.
Chet?
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's far more athletic than Chet.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like he's stronger than Kevin Durant was coming out of college, too.
Yeah. That's
little
also
bit
a good point.
stronger.
Yeah.
But still wiry.
That Alabama team is dangerous because not only do they have a guy like Miller, but they also have experience on that team.
Yeah.
Like they also have guys who have made an Elite Eight run last year or
Can't
the
remember
last
how
years.
far they went. Yeah.
But they got experience. Nate Oates is a good tournament coach.
They
And
shoot a lot
the
of
problem
threes.
the problem with them in the past, that's not their problem this year, is they used to be so reliant on the three.
They were very reliant on it, yeah.
Almost too reliant on the three, and then in a one and done tournament, you have one
and die.
even mediocre shooting game. You live and die by it.
Yeah.
You die. You get bounced in the Sweet 16 by a team that just happens to make one more basket than you. But they're not as reliant on the three as they have been in the past. A little bit more balanced, and they have a coach who's done it in multiple places now. So I like Alabama at least to go to the Elite Eight this year, and the availability of Brandon Miller, the fact that he's able to play, is a majority of the reason for that.
The hype kind of reminds me of when Trae Young kind of came into the scene.
Remember that half season where Trey just took over things?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was nuts.
That shit was fun. That was real fun.
Right
I was
after
pissed when they
right
got
after Buddy
eliminated pretty
Hield did
early,
it.
though.
Yeah. Well, yeah. 1 year after Butter Hield did it.
Oklahoma had some good players there for
They
them.
really did.
Yeah.
They really
Blake
did.
Griffin.
But
Yep.
I always forget that he went to Oklahoma. But then I remember that North Carolina washed that Oklahoma team in the Elite Eight that
True.
year. They just destroyed them.
But Brian, you were talking about elite senior guard play.
Yes.
Speaking of that, Northwestern Wildcats start 2 senior guards. They're Chicago's Big Ten team. They're currently tied for second in the Big Ten. Can they make a Final Four run this year with that roster?
That's
No.
crazy. I thought Purdue was going to lock it in the bag.
They can't. I don't think they can make a Final Four run this year.
They've got a lot of capable shooters.
They do. I just don't know if.
They've beaten Purdue and Indiana in the conference.
Okay, can they make a Final Four run?
Right.
Yes.
I think
They
anybody
have.
can.
They have the makings. I just don't. This is where the experience comes into play. This is what their second tournament of
Second
all
all
time.
time. Yeah. They don't have tournament experience, but they
No
have,
tournament
they have game
experience.
experience.
No tournament experience, and their non-conference schedule was fairly light. It's not like they outside. I mean, when you play the Big Ten, it's a grind every single game. I get that. It's not. There's no
Yeah.
easy wins in the Big Ten. I just don't know if they're tournament tested enough to confidently say they make it to the second weekend.
Yeah.
I can see Northwestern going on a run, Sweet 16, maybe an Elite Eight with a little bit of magic. I could also see him getting bounced in like a 6-11 matchup.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So
And that's how his tournament is, though. I think any of those situations can apply to almost any game.
it really is. It's like, is it your night or is it not your night?
Yeah.
That's really the beauty of the tournament.
I will
So,
say Boo Buie is probably the hardest guard to guard in the Big Ten this
it's also
year.
the coolest name.
Yeah.
That's a badass
Do
name.
you-
Badass name.
Boo
Do you guys
Buie.
believe in like home court advantage in the tournament if you're nearby, like your home site?
Say like Northwestern played at the United Center or something.
Yeah.
Not so
Oh.
much.
I don't know. That's a really good question. But I think I guess it depends on proximity. Like
Yeah.
you're talking about like the same state because some states are
Yeah.
massive.
Yeah.
Where like Northwestern to the United Center, that's pretty close. But
Like a regional being held in like Houston, but like you have Texas El Paso make it or something like
Yeah.
Waco, which is on the west side of the state, and Houston was on the
Yeah.
southeast side of the
Uh-huh.
state. Like, is Baylor really going to have a home court advantage playing in Houston? I don't know. Sure, because I guess fans may travel and be a little bit more open to traveling, but at the same time, they have these regions set up to where every team in there is got a reasonable opportunity for fans to get to that venue or get to that location. So I think it balances out at the end of the day.
There was one scenario last year I remember that happened to Indiana. Brian, I don't know if you remember this. Indiana beat Wyoming in the first 4 in Dayton.
Okay.
And then I believe they had to get on a plane and go straight. It's out west somewhere. I can't remember if it was Portland or not.
Oh, you know what? I think it was like Salt Lake City or something.
Yeah, somewhere out there.
Yeah.
And their flight got delayed, and they couldn't leave until, I guess, Wednesday morning. And they were playing again on Thursday. They didn't get in until like Wednesday night.
Yeah.
And they had to play a game the next morning. That's brutal.
Yeah,
That's
that is
bad.
brutal.
I mean, that's
yeah,
tough.
you gotta hopefully avoid situations like that as best you can. It's
Yeah.
I mean it's a 68 team tournament. The logistics of that's got to be a nightmare.
Yeah.
But I mean, I certainly do think once you get to the Elite Eight, the Final 4, there you can have some matchups that may be tilted because of home court. Like for instance, if you had Kansas, one of the regionals or one of the Elite Eight regional venues is Kansas City this year. If Kansas or Kansas State is playing in Kansas City, that's an advantage.
It's got to be 75% of their fans.
Yes,
Right.
that's an
Yeah.
advantage. Obviously, Louisville's terrible this year, but like, if Kentucky or Louisville were to make it to the Elite Eight in a Louisville place, even Indiana, that's a 2.5 hour drive,
Yeah.
not even. That's an advantage.
Yeah, and one thing to note is like once you get deeper in that tournament, you also have a lot more rest, also just prep time. So like even if you have that advantage of being near home, the opposing team still has time to gather their thoughts and actually strategize a little more strategically in the matchup too.
And ultimately, that's where when you get the further you go, there's a reason why the same like 8 coaches have a combined 90 Final Four appearances. Because once you get to that second weekend and on, the coaching discrepancy and or the coaching advantages is really what starts to come forward. There's a reason why you can give a team 5 days to prepare for a Coach K led Duke team in the heyday, and you play your best game, and it's still going to be incredibly difficult because he's just that much better at game planning and stuff like that at the end of the day.
So speaking going deep into the tournament, which conference would you guys say is going to go the deepest? My vote leans more towards Big 12, just because if you're talking about grind every game, like those matchups are always grind. Like most of those matchups are ranked matches, especially in the middle of the season. But you mentioned Kansas State. Those are both pretty good teams,
Yeah,
and they're both in the same conference.
Baylor, I think.
TCU.
I'll let you start on this one. What do you think?
It's gonna be tough because like half of their games this year, half of their conference games in the Big 12 have been ranked matchups, and like not just ranked matchups, like top 15 matchups. Like they're gonna be super battle tested, but it's gonna come down to how well rested they are. And
That's the other thing. Some of these teams, especially in the Big 12, ACC, Big 10, like they're about to go through the rigors of a conference tournament just for the right
yeah,
to go through the rigors of an NCAA tournament and stuff
true.
like that. So like, imagine you're a Purdue and you have to go through playing in order Illinois, Indiana, and then you get to the finals. Congratulations, you got to play. Insert
a hot Nebraska
hot.
team.
Yeah, it's like you get to you go through the ringer of just these bouts and playing like. There's a legitimate chance that if you want to win the Big 12 tournament, you're going to have to go beat Iowa State, then Kansas State, then Kansas just to do it. Like, whoa, that's nuts. That takes toll. So, like, me personally, I think the Pac-12 goes the furthest this year.
Oh, really?
I think
Yeah.
this is the year. I think UCLA and
Arizona.
Arizona both end up in the Final Four.
I like watching Arizona play.
I think those two teams are perfect tournament teams, especially UCLA. I think UCLA is your dark horse for a champion this year. I really do. The way that Tiger Campbell plays, the way that Jacques plays, and the ability that Mick Cronin is as a coach, I think UCLA checks all the boxes. The only thing they don't check is the fact they're a Pac-12 team.
You know what else they have though?
What?
There's guys on that team that have that Final Four.
Yeah, they have that
experience.
Final Four experience when they were, an 11 seed that
I
year?
think Tiger Campbell was a freshman.
Jacques was on that team too.
Yeah.
So, like, they have experience, they have coaching, they have the senior leadership. They've played a good enough schedule and proven themselves against a good enough schedule this year that they check the boxes you're looking for from a deep run. I think the Pac-12's.
And Arizona's a very good team too.
Yeah. So, I like Pac-12. I don't know. I
Oh.
feel like it's a little under the radar, but still.
It's almost like the Power 5 conferences that won't get as many teams in have a good chance.
Yeah.
You know? Pac-12 is only going to get maybe 3 teams in the tournament, 3 or 4.
Me and Huddy talked about this team last time we met, and the strangest team I've seen so far has been just Gonzaga. Like, this isn't a normal season for them. Like,
No.
I can't recall the last time they had 5 losses going into conference tournament, and it sounds like their conference is somewhat competitive to them now.
St. Mary's a good team.
Yeah. Gonzaga got the best of them on Saturday.
Yeah.
I was at Gonzaga.
I mean, this Gonzaga team is sans 1 or 2 people. A lot of the team that made a run last year and the year before. I mean, you still have Drew Timme on your team, Mr. Mustache and Headband himself. Mark Few is still Mark Few as a coach. Like, they still have a good team, but for them, it's going to depend on where they land.
Yeah.
If they're a 3 seed, sure. But if you start getting into the run and they slide to a 4 seed because they lose early in their conference tournament, you might see a little bit of an issue of them getting past the first weekend.
Yeah, that's true. That's going to be an interesting conference tournament to watch. Because who's the 3rd best team in that conference? Is it Santa Clara?
Either Santa Clara is up there. Yeah, I think right now Santa Clara would be the 3 seed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
St. Mary's could win that conference tournament, and they could push themselves up to be a higher seed as well.
Yeah, I don't. Where does do you know where Lenardi has them currently at?
I can't remember.
He's got him at a 5 seed right now,
Yeah.
playing Drake.
Drake?
Joe Lunardi is disrespecting the Bradley Braves.
Of course he
Put him
is.
in. They just won the conference.
Hey, shout out to San Diego State. I have a homie that lives out there.
Shout out to San Diego State.
I have a homie that lives out there. I love that.
Wait, they go to San
Why-
Diego State or they live in San Diego?
Oh, she went there.
Oh, okay.
She lives there too.
But like, just to swing back around before we cap this off, like on the tournament, Huddy made a good point. You know, Charleston, a 30-win mid-major, is currently on the first 4 out for Lenardi's bracketology. Ahead of them are West Virginia, Mississippi State, Wisconsin, trash,
Bro, that was such a shitty loss.
I don't.
and Oklahoma State. Like, Oklahoma State's got like what, 12 losses this year? I don't know. I feel like.
I don't know how you have Wisconsin in over Michigan when Wisconsin's 8-10 in the conference and Michigan is 11-7.
Yeah, I mean,
It's the non-conference
Yeah.
losses too that counts.
so, I mean, I don't know. I feel like when a high conference team, you know, just those 4 that I listed right there, you have Oklahoma State in the Big 12, USC in the Pac-12, Wisconsin in the Big 10, Mississippi State in the SEC. You have 4 teams who have largely just been average this year against the competition that they play. Like, what else do we need to see from them that says, okay, well, let's go see them in the tournament now? I feel like people deserve to see the 30-win mid-majors that they don't have exposure to most of the year, because that's where the fun of the tournament lies. That's where, like, the VCUs who get in and make Final Four runs come from. Like,
Which they will be in this year.
Which, that's the thing. I would much rather see that than some middling West Virginia team sputter and get smacked in the first round.
Makes
Yeah.
for a great story, too.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And, you know, as
That's true.
content creators, AJ,
Yeah,
you want the story.
yeah, I want the
That's
good
the-
You
stuff,
want,
bro.
what's going to be more fun to talk about.
exactly.
Exactly.
So,
If you ask me, Wisconsin doesn't deserve to be in this tournament at all after what I've seen.
yeah.
And we can all agree with
I
that.
say the same thing about North Carolina. Just because I'm a fan doesn't mean I need to see him in March.
Yeah. I'm starting to think Iowa State doesn't deserve to be in this tournament. They are just choking it. But here's the thing, though. The same exact thing happened last year. You know what happened last year? They went to the Sweet 16. Is
you
that
go.
just what you give up to go this far if you're an Iowa State Cyclone? Just suck the last half and you're guaranteed a run in the tournament?
Maybe
I
you
mean,
guys got it
that
tight.
works.
You'd rather lose now than in March.
Very
Yeah,
right.
That's what they
Yeah,
say. That's the
right.
most
Yeah.
cliche thing for March Madness, but it's true.
Starting
Yeah.
Wednesday, no more losses.
Yeah.
We take no more L's come Wednesday.
I don't know, man. I don't know about that.
Quickly, who wins the NCAA tournament?
The NCAA?
Yeah.
Shit. Iowa State.
Toss up for me. I don't know enough about it.
You know,
Indiana?
Hoosiers.
Hoosiers.
UNC for
We're dangerous. We're dangerous. We're sneaky good.
Missouri Tigers.
Mizzou. Well, Mizzou took care of business with Iowa State last month.
Yes, we did.
All right.
I messaged you. I'm like, let me just be nice. It's like, oh, good luck in the matchup today. You know, just trying to be like, they ain't gonna win.
Now,
But
now we all have to pick a national championship team that's not our favorite basketball team? Who is it?
I personally, I'm going UCLA. I think UCLA wins the national championship this year.
All right. I'm going to go with Arizona, our Pac-12 team.
Ooh, okay.
I go Arizona.
Oh,
Just read his list, bro.
I'm not gonna go with what you guys said. That's for
Oral
sure.
Roberts. Just kidding.
Well,
Mike feels like a
Houston is
Texas
the
guy.
overall.
Mike feels like a Texas guy.
I'll take Texas.
You like Matthew McConaughey?
I do love that.
He's a professor there.
I know. He was supposed to run for governor. I don't think he's gonna.
I'd
do
go
that,
for him.
though. I think a lot of people would.
Especially in Texas.
Yeah.